fact that that's the case. The Pharaoh is tortured by God. Well, what's God? Well, we said already, at least to some degree, God is the amalgamation of all that is good. I'm not speaking religiously when I say that. I'm speaking conceptually.
Okay.
God is the union of all things that are good. Okay, but that's not conceptual exactly, because that's also something that you exist in a relationship to and that you act out. It's not just an idea. Okay, so God is that spirit that calls to Abraham to have the adventure of his life instead of languishing in his father's tent. So it's called to adventure. It's truth. It's the burning bush. It's the psychedelic experience. It's God against the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh's a totalitarian, and he keeps imposing his edicts, running contrary to freedom, promoting slavery, let's say. Well, the kingdom fractures and crumbles continually. And you might say, well, time frame's a problem, man. Maybe you can be a successful tyrant even over the course of your lifetime. But maybe you doom your country to death. You doom your country to hell. Is that success? It depends on what you mean success is, because these things do depend on definitions.
But all countries collapse. All of them. Every civilization that has ever existed has fallen apart.
No, I don't think so.
Which one's still around?
Ours?
Yeah, but we haven't been around that long.
I don't know. You can trace
We're falling apart right now.
You know this, Joe. You can trace the religious experience, the religious revelation, the central religious revelation, back at least 25,000 years of continued transmission.
25,000? Really?
Sure. All the way back to the Stone Age shaman. For sure. For sure.
Is that 100% proven that they were experiencing altered states of consciousness and that they were imparting these lessons in a form of a religion?
100%'s a lot.
Okay. For certain?
I think I can only say what I've concluded by looking in as many places I could possibly look, ranging from the theological through the literary, through history, through the scientific, the biochemical, all of that, trying to stack all that up. So it's multiple, it's called a multi-method, multi-trait construct analysis. The idea is if something's true, it will manifest itself in multiple different places with independent methodologies. So it's like your senses do that. Is this real? Well, I can see it, I can hear it, I can touch it, I can taste it. 5 things say it's real. Is this cup there, Joe? Yes. Okay, now you said it's real too. Okay, real. Now, is that finally real? No. But that's a different question. It's real enough for the purposes. Same thing here. I think the idea that, like Jack and the Beanstalk, the magic beans, climbing up the magic stalk to heaven, that's a shamanic tale. We know some fairy tales are 15,000 years old. That one's 100,000 years old.
Is it really?
We don't know.
Right. It's
but
hard
that
to
story,
quantify.
like Mircea Eliade wrote a book called Shamanism. He's a great historian of religions. And he looked at the commonality of shamanic experience across multiple cultures. It's very stable. He thought that psychedelic-induced shamanic practices were a corruption of the original tradition. I don't think that's right. I think it's wrong.
We had a conversation before the podcast started about Brian Murarescu's work and The Immortality Key, which is an amazing book. And I was, we were talking about that sort of field of study that has emerged in Harvard now because of Brian's work, and that they're now
and Ruck, right?
Yes.
And Gordon Wasson, and all
Gordon
these
Wasson
crazy
from
bastards,
Mexico from the 50s, right? So it was Life magazine.
Hey, let's discover psilocybin mushrooms.
Yeah.
Oops.
That is now being really. It's not fringe anymore. Then what
it still is.
It is sort of, but
wait till it's not, man.
Yeah, well, it is, right, and that there's a lot of people that still aren't aware, but at least in academia, and at least in Harvard, it's now being pursued.
Roland
with
Griffith's
sincerity.
work has helped that a lot too. The work he's done with psilocybin in the lab, which is like really solid scientifically.
That's John Hopkins, right?
Yeah. And also. Who did the DMT work? Rick Strassman?
Yes.
Poor Rick.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he had to stop doing it, really. It's like, look what's happening.
What
All
do you
these
mean?
people get shot out. Well, he didn't know what to do with it. He's a really traditional biological, psychological researcher. And he said, well, we'll measure people's heart rate and we'll check their psychophysiological responses. And, you know, we'll see what this DMT does. It's like, and then all these people came back from the experience and said, hey, I got shot right out of my body and I went into a domain where I met alien beings. It's like, you were dreaming. No, you don't understand. I've dreamt before.
Yeah.
And this was not only real, it was the most real thing I've ever experienced. He said, well, that's a Jungian archetype. He said, well, no, it was, you don't get it. It was more real than reality itself. And every single person came back and said that. And so I read The Spirit Molecule, which is a very interesting book. And by the end of it, Strassman is, well, he kind of got shell-shocked like our whole culture did when it discovered LSD. It's like,
well, he had to be very careful in his depictions too, because he can't talk about personal experiences because he wants to be taken seriously as a, you know, as an actual researcher.
And good